there's no need even to have a college degree. I mean, if somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. And if there's a track record of exceptional achievement, then it's likely that that will continue into the future. First of all, you don't need college to learn stuff, okay? Everything is available basically for free. You can learn anything you want for free. It is not a question of learning. There is a value that colleges have, which is like, seeing whether can somebody work hard at something, including a bunch of sort of annoying homework assignments, and still do their homework assignments and kind of soldier through and get it done. That's like the main value of college. And then also, if you probably want to hang around with a bunch of people your own age for a while instead of going right into the workforce. So I think colleges are basically for fun and to prove you can do your chores, but they're not for learning. If you think of like what is education, like you're basically downloading data and algorithms into your brain, and it's actually amazingly bad in conventional education because like it shouldn't be like this huge chore. Like the more you can gamify the process of learning, the better. Like for my kids, I do not have to encourage them to play video games.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have to like pry them from their hands, like crack. And I think unfortunately, like a lot of education is very vaudevillian. You've got someone standing up there kind of lecturing at people, and they've done the same lecture 20 years in a row, and they're not very excited about it. And that lack of enthusiasm, is conveyed to the students. They're not very excited about it. They don't know why they're there. Like, why are we learning this stuff? We don't even know why. In fact, I think a lot of things people learn probably there's no point in learning them because they never use them in the future. Well, you have to say, like, people I think don't stand back and say, well, why are we teaching people these things? And we should tell them probably why we're teaching these things. And I think if you can explain the why of things, then that makes a huge difference to people's motivation. Yeah. Then they understand purpose.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty important, and just make it entertaining. But I think just in general, like conventional education should be massively overhauled. I'm sure you very much agree with that. But how did the Wharton degree help? I think a business degree teaches you a lot of the terminology. It introduces you to concepts that you would otherwise, there's terminology, there's something to be said for that. It introduces you to concepts you would otherwise have to learn empirically. I think you can learn whatever you need to do to start a successful business, either in school or out of school. School, in theory, should help accelerate that process. And I think it oftentimes it does. It can be an efficient learning process, perhaps more efficient than an empirically learning lesson. But really, I think there are examples of successful entrepreneurs who never graduated high school, and there are those that have PhDs. So I think the important principle is to be dedicated to learning what you need to know, whether that is in school or empirically. Some of the mistakes, at least in my opinion, that I see being made in education is teachers do not explain why kids are being taught a subject. Just sort of get dumped into math and like, well, why are you learning math? What's the point of this? It seems like for some people, like maybe it's, I don't know why I'm being asked to do these strange problems. But the why of things is extremely important because our brain has evolved to not to discard information that it thinks has no relevance. So then, if on the one hand you're being asked to memorize or learn say formulas, but you do not know why this is the case, then you have this cognitive dissonance of it seems irrelevant, but I'm being told to remember it, so I'll be punished. So I better remember it. But so the why of things is very important, and then being able to and then picking kind of a problem and then using various educational tools to solve that problem, like using math or physics or economics to solve that problem is far more engaging than teaching the tools. I want to make sure Tesla recruiting does not have anything that says requires university, because that's absurd. There is a requirement of evidence of exceptional ability. Like you just can't, you're trying to do something exceptional, they must have evidence of exceptional ability. I don't consider going to college evidence of exceptional ability. In fact, ideally you dropped out and did something. I mean, obviously, we look at like, Gates is a pretty smart guy, he dropped out. Jobs, pretty smart, he dropped out. Larry Ellison, smart guy, he dropped out. Like, obviously not needed. So, did Shakespeare even go to college? Probably not.
So one of the, I think, most common questions I hear ambitious young people ask is, I want to be the next Elon Musk. How do I do that? Obviously, the next Elon Musk will work on very different things than you did. But what have you done, or what did you do when you were younger that you think sort of set you up to have a big impact?
Well, I think first of all I should say that I do not expect to be involved in all these things. Whatever this thing is that you're trying to create, what would be the utility delta compared to the current state of the art times how many people it would affect? So that's why I think having something that makes a big difference but affects a sort of small to moderate number of people is great. As is something that makes even a small difference but affects a vast number of people. If somebody is doing something that is useful to the rest of society, I think that's a good thing. Like, it doesn't have to change the world. Like, if you're doing something that has high value to people, and frankly, even if it's like just a little game, or some improvement in photo sharing or something, if it has a small amount of good for a large number of people, I think that's fine. Like, stuff doesn't need to be changed the world just to be good. So what advice do I have for college graduates interested in getting involved in the spheres you've tapped into? Certainly I'd invite you to apply for a job at SolarCity or Tesla or SpaceX. If not, then if that doesn't work for whatever reason, then I guess apply to jobs at other companies in that arena, or try starting a company. Although I have to say that in the space business is quite hard to start a company in the space business because it's such a capital-intensive business. So it may be better to do something in solar power, or if you're going to do it in cars, do it as kind of a component supplier for cars or something like that. I studied physics and business because I figured in order to do a lot of these things, you need to know how the universe works, and you need to know how the economy works, and you also need to be able to bring a lot of people together to work with you to create something, because it's very difficult to do something as an individual if it's a significant technology. I originally came out to California to try to figure out how to improve the energy density of electric vehicles, basically to try to figure out if there was an advanced capacitor that could serve as an alternative to batteries. And that was in '95, and that's also when the internet started to happen. And I thought, well, I can either pursue this technology where success may not be one of the possible outcomes, which is always tricky, or participate in the internet and be part of it. So I decided to drop out. Well, I'd encourage people to read a lot of books. Basically, try to ingest as much information as you can, and try to also just develop a good general knowledge. So you at least have like a rough lay of the land of the knowledge landscape. Like, try to learn a little bit about a lot of things, because you might not know what you're really interested in. How would you know what you're really interested in if you at least aren't like doing a peripheral exploration broadly of the knowledge landscape, and talk to people from different walks of life and different industries and professions and skills and occupations. Like, just try learn as much as possible. Man's search for meaning. Yeah, what's the meaning of life and all, But just generally, like I said, I would encourage people to read broadly in many different subject areas, and then try to find something where there's an overlap of your talents and what you're interested in. So you want to try to find a thing where that's a good combination of the things that you're inherently good at, but you also like doing.